Here we go. Make sure this goes. Oh, setting it up. All right. We are live on Facebook and live on Zoom. We are good to go.
All right.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Caitlin Thomas, and I'm the office manager at the Art Museum of Greater Lafayette. We are so excited to have Atossa with us tonight. So thankful for Zoom and Facebook Live to be able to give us this opportunity to interact with her and hear more about her history and her art, which it's just beautiful, guys. If you've not been to see Atossa's exhibit at the museum, you can come for free. I've put the link to reserve your tickets. We do ask that you have reservations just so that we can kind of follow the state's mandate about capacity and all that. But that link to reserve your tickets is in the chat box. So I'm not going to talk too much because you didn't come to hear me talk, but if you have questions that come up as Atossa talks, just drop them in the chat, or if you're watching via Facebook, drop them in the comment section, and then we'll circle back around to those at the end of the talk. So without that, I will stop talking, and Atossa, take it from here.
Right. Thank you very much, Caitlin, for your very kind words about the exhibit. I really appreciate that. Hi, everybody. I am delighted that I'm here and talking with you, and thanks so much for joining us on this gallery talk. I really appreciate your presence here tonight. And I want to give my gratitude to the Art Museum of Greater Lafayette for giving me this opportunity of having my first ever solo show at our wonderful local museum. I am really grateful. And to the museum staff who worked so hard, to our wonderful curator, Michael Crowthers, for doing such an amazing job of putting the show together, to all the volunteers that work so hard to make a show happen. And so it takes a lot of effort, and I am thankful to all of you. My special thanks goes to Art Advocates for sponsoring my show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank you enough for that. To my dear family and friends who supported me with their encouragements, with energized me with their wonderful comments and kept me going, thank you. And to the supporters on social media, most of whom I don't even know, and they're not listening, they're not here, but I give them my thanks because they also give me so much energy with their wonderful comments and encouragements. I want to give a special thanks to my father, who nurtured me with his art and music, surrounded me with that, and inspired me. And without him, I would not be painting. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Iran, and I came to US in 1974 after I got married, and went to Michigan State University, where we both studied there. I received my bachelor's, master's, and PhD all from Michigan State, and in bachelor's in biological sciences and the graduate degrees in nutritional sciences. So, you know, father artist, mother was encouraging science. So mother prevailed, I went to science. But then I revisited art later on, apparently. We came with my husband and two daughters to West Lafayette in 1986 and have been here ever since. So most of my life I have lived here. I did a postdoc and as a research scientist worked at Purdue for a number of years, and then at the Indiana State Department of Health in Indianapolis as an epidemiologist. About my early art experience, very little, I must say, although my father had a big presence. I did, drawing, pencil, different kinds of pencils that he was using, and I could use, and colored pencils and everything. So a lot of art tools in our house, and watercolor painting and Persian calligraphy. He was a calligrapher. And I thought that he had magical hands because the way he was dipping the bamboo pen in the ink and would just slide it on the paper, I thought that he does magic, and he did. The first oil painting that I have seen in my life, I clearly remember it. It was the painting of the lily of the valley that he painted on a black organza dress that he made for my mother, and he painted on it as a surprise graduation gift from college. And I thought that dress was magnificent, and it really was. And I feel so fortunate that I get to put it on special occasions. So he continues to inspire me. Yeah. About my art journey. I started early in beginning of 2015. So I started with color charts. I don't know why some people find it boring. I felt like a kid in a toy store, mixing all these paints and get new colors and darker and lighter. And so by the time I started taking a class, I knew how to mix paint very well. And after doing that study, 1 month of making color charts. As soon as I mentioned to my dear friend Sherry Helmkamp that I want to get oil paint and lessons in oil painting, because it was like a dream to me all my life since I saw that oil painting on that dress that I wanted to do oil painting. So I told her, and she said, well, I have the right person for you. So she connected me to our wonderful local artist, Catherine Clark. And that I took lessons with her at the museum, and also a lot of private lessons, and got trained in representational. So she helped me to, start from zero and go forward. This is my first painting in 2015, the red vase, very simple, but it was a very special vase, and I wanted to paint. By the end of 2015, I did these two paintings, a koi and a village that is actually a village in Iran covered. It's not, it's, in a way representation of it, but it was, I could do this after a year, and it got in Hoosier Salon Juryd Show, which is, kind of the most prestigious statewide juryd show in Indiana, and both got in, and I was very, very pleased with that I was able to be among wonderful artists in Indiana in the show. And then I did this really detailed painting of Athens, and that I was, I love this view of it, that I took this picture. And I got, very much interested in doing it. And it's because of I don't know if you can see it or not, on the lower right side is a woman doing her laundry. And I just liked to see that small life in the panorama of this magnificent city. So I was very much into representational painting. And when some of my friends were asking me, what style do you want to work on? Or I don't know, I guess I'll find out as I paint. And that's what happened, actually. I changed direction a bit. So what happened that I went into oil and coal wax? How did that happen? And it's really interesting that sometimes, like a little trip or something, some conversations, contacts, exposures to certain places, or going to a gallery can change things so much for you. So it was a trip to Maine to visit a dear friend, and we did a lot of gallery hopping. She knew that I wanted to do that. And it was the first time that I saw some encaustic paintings. And I really liked it. I liked that waxy surface and the texture of it. And it was kind of abstracted paintings, but it was like water paintings that was encaustic. It was beautiful. So I thought, I need to find out, I need to know how to learn encaustic and who is teaching, where should I go? So I Google searched it, and then I saw that, oh, it's not that easy because you have to have a studio with really great ventilation, or you can't, it's the toxic fumes and all that. And while I was searching on encaustic, I found out about cold wax. And I thought, wow, you don't have to have like a major ventilation infrastructure and in your studio, and I loved it. I looked at the works of the top artists in the area of oils mixed with cold wax, and I just loved it. And also it was in the same trip that I went to Amherst, visited my friend, a good old friend and established and accomplished artist. And we had a very good conversation, and I told him that, I'm really drawn to this atmospheric paintings and more abstraction and also, abstract landscape, not much detail. And he said, oh, maybe you want to look at the works of Mary Steph Green. And I came home and ordered the book, loved it. But as I was looking at all the images in the book, I realized that I'm drawn to those that have less detail, bigger shapes, more abstracted. It was just so clear that this is what I like. And so it just became clear to me. So I looked for cold wax workshops. I knew who the leaders were. Rebecca Crow was the pioneer in the style of layering the oil and cold wax, that kind of paint application, but I couldn't get into anything with her. I found workshops in Wisconsin, Illinois, continued with an abstract landscape artist in Illinois, Mark Russell, for like a year and a half. And it was a great experience. And I did this painting. This is really my first really painting that I was satisfied with in oil and cold wax. And it got into Hoosier Salon and for 2017. And of course, I was very happy that it got in. And I really was attached to this painting. It was the first painting that I felt a personal connection, that I think it said, well, it was saying something to me. I was connecting it with it, and named it and weep for me. And I thought I priced it high, so I make sure that it doesn't get sold, but it got sold. So I was depressed for 2 days that it got sold, and then I got over it and appreciated the person who was so kind to be willing to. It wasn't an outrageous price. It was okay, but still not a low price. That she was so interested, the person who doesn't know me, and that interested to have that piece. So that meant a lot to me. And then I continued from that point on. I really did. I did some oil alone, but most of my work was going into oils mixed with cold wax. And I did this painting close to home in 2017, which entered a wonderful local jury show by Wabash Valley Artist Society that received the best in show. And I was very happy with that. And I'm very thankful really about that, and meant a lot to me. I realized that I needed more in-depth training, and I needed to receive more, to get deeper in this. I was looking for opportunities to work with Rebecca Crow a pioneer in this field, but the workshops were very few and far in between. And I didn't know that I have to get on a mailing list. And once a workshop is announced, you have to apply immediately or it gets filled in a matter of hours. So I lost a couple of opportunities because I didn't know that. And so I ordered their book, the book that Rebecca did with Jerry McLaughlin. That's the only book that exists on cold wax medium. It's a great reference for people who want to work with the medium. And so I ordered the book and was waiting to get into work with them both, or with Rebecca, both better. And I got in. I finally got in, and so I went to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, November of 2018. And it was an advanced workshop. You had to apply it. You had to send them 8 completed works because they were not going to teach you how to paint. But it was more for oil wax techniques and their demos, and then more getting deeper into your intention and voice, and more thought-provoking issues. After that trip, I used a lot of red in that trip, I think, because the bougainvilleas there on the walls hanging, I think, and also childhood memories of this beautiful flower. Behind the red veil, that one also got into the Hoosier Salon on that year, 2019, a few months later. And I knew that I needed more. I needed more contact time with them, and private lessons wasn't possible. So I thought that I'm going to follow them wherever they go, and I want to get more training, more contact with them, more information. And so I found, so this workshop was in Skopelos, on Skopelos Island in Greece. Beautiful place to be, and so it was a 2 weeks workshops, which was great. So for a straight 15 days, I was looking at this blue while I was doing abstract work, and I thought that I'm not, looking at a landscape. I'm not here to do landscape representational, but this blue was just getting in. I just could not resist it. And as you go into the show here, you see that's just a lot of blue, and you're just like they're discovering blue, and there's like hundreds of blues, and each has its own feeling and strength and beauty. So it was really a privilege to be in that workshop, alongside with artists from so many different countries, and some of them very accomplished artists. And so I'm very thankful that I had that opportunity. That made a big difference in finding my voice, in finding my direction, and it was wonderful. So now I have talked about cold wax, and so what is cold wax? Some of you know it, some of you don't. And well, cold wax medium, it is a semi-solid paste at room temperature. So you can it's very soft and good, and you can work with it. It's colorless, so it has the consistency of like it's like a colorless peanut butter. So it can be mixed with oil very easily, and it's very, very, very easy to work with. And it requires no heat to apply or to fuse layers. So unlike encaustic, the muse is very, very easy for that matter. What is it made of? It is made of beeswax, beeswax that are unaltered. I mean, nothing chemical is done to it in terms of changing the wax. It goes through filtration to make it colorless, and then solvent is added so that it can be mixed with paint, and then resin is added so that it is durable and it's not soft, and it's very archival and very strong. Yeah, so that makes it perfect. What is it used for? I mean, it can be used, cold wax has been used for a long, long time, and it can be used plain on just as a thin layer, or it can be used over any kind of painting, oils, watercolor, acrylic, on photographs, on pencil work, for people who like the sheen that it gives the surface. But cold wax is used as a medium that gives the pigments and oil paints special properties. So it can be mixed with oil paints. It can also be mixed with powdered pigments, and it can be mixed with particulates like a sand, ash, wood, wood chips, or some people that use it for textures. And why using that? If it is not a varnish, what does it do for you? It adds body to the paint. It gives a matte finish. A lot of people like that. I do like the matte finish. It shortens the drying time. And so for people who want to work fast, wet on wet, a la prima, that works. But the main strength of cold wax is the texture you can create with that it is, I would say, like impossible or not possible to do it without it, with oil alone. And it's also the translucency and luminosity that this wax in the paint gives it. And with this process of painting, of layering layers over layers over layers, it creates a special texture and depth that when you get close to a painting, sometimes you think that you can just see through it. And so it has a very creates a very interesting surface. You can use anything for that. Wood, it's painted on wood, canvas, paper, boards, aluminum panels. It's better to be rigid because then you can manipulate the surface and create good effects. I do a lot of quick study works on papers. This is just, I have like 5 times more than what you see here in this picture. And it is great to work quickly without inhibition and using your intuition. And then, it's really wonderful practice to use it for, use some elements of it, for bigger paintings and get inspired by what happens. In terms of tools, although some people, when they mix oil and cold wax and use representational painting using brushes, but the paintbrush, but in this style of layering, you don't use paintbrush at all. And so there are special tools to put the layers on. And so besides the palette knives, this is like a bowl scraper, like a squeegee, and brayers, like rollers. And you use different tools for making pottery tools to do scratching and scraping, and like a wood stick to do that. I mean, you name it, you can use it to create your textures. But just like the way paint artists who are very particular about their paintbrush and the hair and how it feels and how it bends, it's the same with these tools. Once you work with them a lot, you know that there is a big difference in quality based on what you're using. So it's very, very important, the quality of the tools you use. The painting process is a very lengthy working process that you go layer by layer by layer. The first 2-3 layers, it's not that important. You're going to cover it because you're creating the base to put more layers on. But then the layers, you have to make decisions on the colors you're using and the kind of texture you're creating. As the layers are built up, the marks and textures are created gradually, so that it creates a nice and sophisticated visual texture. at the end. So, and the layers, you keep adding and subtracting by scraping, scratching, and then adding more, and then taking some more, and then dissolving some, pouring solvents, dissolving some parts, leaving some parts intact. So these are all decision making. Some are by intuition and some are very analytical. You have to make decisions and use reason for that. So this painting process is an interplay between intuition and reasoning, between chance and control, between rejecting and saying. So it's back and forth. And it is a process of finding, losing, and finding again, and maybe losing again. And so in this process, the artist will accept the fact that they will lose some really nice effects they create. But if they still the piece you don't feel a connection, you have to keep going. So yes, you might lose some beautiful pieces you have created, but you have to go through the loss of that to find something else. So it's a, one could say that it's a very philosophical, very meditative approach to it, and that you have to get used to it and be okay with that. So it is a constant conversation with the surface, that you do something and then you have to look at it, and then you have to respond to what is happening and make decisions. And I find it very intriguing, very thought-provoking, and very interesting, and very engaging. And sometimes you want to pull your hair, but some other times you really feel good. So now I'm gonna talk about this exhibition, From Mystery to Mirage. I think this show is about mood, is about duality, the dualities in moods and emotions, and about enigma. You see all the topics we experience in life, right? So Mirage, Mirage is a childhood mystery and obsession. I just loved seeing a mirage, and I have a lot of memories from it. During summer, when we were going, driving towards the beach, we lived in a town in the north part of Iran that was 20 minutes away from the beach. So on summer days, I knew that if I sit in the middle of the back seat and stare at the road, I'm going to see the mirage. And so that was like such an exciting moment when I saw it. And I thought that, we're going to get close to this shimmering, floating haze in the air, but we never got there. I thought that the car is going fast. How come we never get there? And so it was a mystery. And I think that I probably would have given up going to the beach if I knew that we can get to the mirage, but we never did, of course. But I'm interested in painting mirage, and not only for the childhood memory and in the image in my head, but also because of its abstract quality, because of its simplicity, and because of the inherent duality in a mirage of something real but it's illusory, that something you see but it doesn't exist, it's not there. You think you see it, but it's not there. So that fact is very interesting, and I'm drawn to that. On the other pieces that are in the exhibit, a lot of blues in there. A lot of those happened after Greece, and it is about the duality in mood. The one on the left is Night is Near, and the one on the right is Melancholy Morning. That it may create some of the blues, and the dark colors may create like a sad mood, or kind of a very quiet or silent mood, and then there's the energy there, that light, that warm color, that red, that orange. It takes your eye there, then you think that, and so this opposing feelings in the same painting. It creates a tension that I find it interesting. This piece At Last, the same, these very muted dark blues are there, and then you look at the horizon and you see this energy, this warmth in the horizon that changes the mood. So the two opposites are, or kind of, yeah, the two opposites are there. So it's and I like for the two moods to be present, a duality in the painting, as I mentioned. And these three paintings also started, some of those, a lot of it done while I was in Greece, and each of them gives a different feeling. This one on the verge, I would say that this is about, it seems to be very simple painting, abstract. Three major colors in there with some small introduction of other colors in it. And it's about ease and tension. On the left, you feel the ease, you feel this order, and on the right, you feel this tension and this chaos. So side by side, as I guess it is in life, side by side. This one, The End of Twilight, is about solace and sadness in a way. That, like, you see that blue, that muted blue, darker one blue, and then there's this bright blue in the foreground. These are dry pigments that I used on it. And then on the lower right corner, you see this warm there, and then the light that is filtering through the top of the painting to just change it totally, the way you feel it. So I like a painting to, like, as if it is giving you two options and you can go back and forth between these moods and see how you feel about it and how you take it. And then this one, this is a piece with a lot of layers on it. And some of the layers, you see that the very bottom layers are revealed, some are concealed. And I wanted to use blue, but also I was very much influenced when I was on the island, not only by the water, but also by the architectural elements and this long winding alleys and the white walls and all these vertical columns, and it was really speaking to me. And interest in narrow alleys, maybe it goes back again to my childhood in Iran, that we had, walked through along narrow alleys a lot, but those beautiful alleys there. And then as I was working with this piece, I was like, I thought that I'm gonna scratch to the surface in the middle of this white in the middle, and then in the lower part of the white, right in the middle of the painting, and there is this black figure. This figure came out, and I thought that what is this? Is she there? And well, you're asking me who is she? And it's one of the evenings that after the end of the day of painting, I was walking in the alleys, and then I saw this is a close-up of a picture I took from a distance of this woman walking all by herself, nobody else in the alley with her. the cane on her right hand, and she had picked beautiful wild yellow flowers she was keeping in her left hand, and I thought it was a very touching moment. She was in black, as it is the tradition in the traditional Greek culture for the widowers to wear black always. So I could feel her nostalgia. I feel the connection with her. And also I could see that despite difficulty of walking, having a cane, being in black, being a widow, but she's enjoying the beauty of life, and she picked the yellow flowers. And so I think it was very nice. And I think that this painting is about joy and sorrow as a duality. So that painting is really an example of this process of painting, of intuition, contemplation, analytic observation, and reason. And so I was like going back, I thought that, okay, we want to have joy in this. So I added some yellow to remind me of the yellow flowers that she was keeping in her hand, and dig into the red that I knew I had there, that you see in the lower part of that. And so not all of my paintings have a long story like that, but this one did, just for that moment that happened, that I saw. This painting, the beginning of the end, is also, I think that the duality is kind of clear in this, that you find this soft velvety blue there that you want to touch. Actually, this is one of the things that that cold wax gives you, that is very tactile. You think you want to touch it, and I like that about it very much. And so this soft velvety blue is there, and then to the left of it, lower left, is this dull, jagged, dark blue. Also on the top right is dark, jagged, kind of grayish blue. And then on the top part is this warm sky, you could say, and this warm orange is there. So this tension between this, hope and despair. So I think that both is there. And also having a title, I think is very important to me, to have a title that leave it open for the viewer to interpret it the way they want it, and from what they can take, so that I do not have an ending to a story for them. I do not tell them what to think, that it's open. Somebody could, have a totally different feeling than, and somebody else. So I don't want the title to also be limiting. I like to leave it open if I can. These couple of paintings on the longest night, these were the paintings that are I had started last fall, and towards the later part of the fall. It was December, and days were short and nights were getting longer. And I knew that I want to have a series of paintings that is about lightness and darkness, that are of limited palette, that not using a lot of colors, and trying to make it interesting with very limited and kind of muted colors. And I must say that I was listening to Chopin nocturnes all the time while I was painting these pieces, and enjoyed it a lot. And it was really very touching for me that I was able to finish this on winter solstice, on the longest night of the year. It is a very special night in Persian tradition. It is a big celebration, and it is celebration of the birth of sun, because the day after that, the days are longer, so the lightness prevails the darkness. So, so this is a painting of the duality. In it is the lightness and darkness, both in form and content. This piece, Rhapsody in Red, I mean, all these works are very personal, but this is also, you know, I feel a lot of connection to it. In terms of the form of the painting, of course, it's a very, very abstract piece. And I don't know how many layers of red I have used, how many different reds and oranges I have used, but that helped to create a surface that I was happy with, part very velvety, part very textural and jagged and rough, some parts very sharp edges, some, you know, fading away. The black in the background and the black dripping down. And I thought that maybe the reason I'm so much drawn to these black lines, like a drip going down, is the ink. Is the ink on the paper that I used to see when I was a child, and my dad was using it. So it's interesting what you are attached to, and it just keeps coming back. But I think this is, it could be, you know, I like to see people what they think about it in terms of the duality that this one gives. To me, it could be like movement and stillness. It's about being bold and subtle. And so, yeah, I see that also as an enigmatic piece. And finally, this piece, Mystery, is a large piece with many layers of this purplish blue and gray, and a lot of different blues, a lot of yellow on the layers below, and I could say that this would be like a piece of the known and the unknown, and like the story beneath the surface that we all do have, and that is so personal. I find the black shape in the lower left as a portal to the story within us that is so personal, some so joyful, some so painful, and also all the light and the joy that exists that we connect to. So yeah, I think that it is an enigmatic piece in that sense, and I named it Mystery because, interestingly, because the response on the social media from it was like, wow, mysterious piece. There's so much mystery in this. So I said, okay, you gave me the name. Mystery is the name for that. So so yeah, so that's. I guess I covered all the pieces in the show. So with this, I give you all my heartfelt thanks for listening and for being with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm here for questions.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Atossa. I had no idea. I've like watched the videos and heard you talk about your paintings a lot, but still always something to learn about your process and your history. Wow, you've traveled so many places. We do have a couple, I think like a couple of questions maybe. But I have a question.
Yes.
Of all the places that you have traveled that have kind of inspired your art, which one is your favorite?
I think Greece was, yeah, Greece was, you know, maybe I was getting deeper into my painting. Maybe I felt I could, maybe I felt, I thought that I was finding my personal voice. So I think it was very, had a very deep effect on me, a very, very strong effect on me. and that it was 50, it was like a long, it was like an artist residency. I was working long hours. I just immersed myself in it. And so I can't compare it because I had not been in that situation anywhere else. But also it was in the perfect environment in terms of being so calm and quiet, and it was great to be with your art for like 8 hours, 15 straight days, and the way you connect is different. So I think I would say it experience in Greece. And I was gonna go to another workshop with Rebecca this time, alone, and in Ireland that got canceled because of the COVID. Hopefully in the future, but yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so Maria says, and I'm just going to read her comment because I can't summarize what she said because she explains what she's thinking so beautifully. She says she finds the process of painting that the artist described as finding and losing very interesting, especially in a world that constantly forces us to know exactly where we are at all times. I would like for Atossa to tell us what she has found when losing in the process of painting when she has been somehow disoriented. What can be learned in those moments?
um that's a very, very good question, and a very fundamental question to this process, that that um that you have to find a way to go through this loss of the piece that was so valuable to you. And if you kind of want to preserve what is there and not to move forward, you only guarantee yourself to be static and to be stuck there. You might like something, but you are denying yourself of the possibilities that exist, that you build up the confidence of that I can produce that again, and maybe not exactly that, maybe something else. Maybe out of 10 times you do this, 2 times you never recover what you have lost, but 8 times you find something better. And as you each time you discover new horizons or territory. So it is something that you build with time. And I think that this is what also was mentioned in the workshop, that Rebecca was telling us, try not to get too much attached to little things here and there that are interesting. Go for the bigger picture, for what is meaningful, for what you feel a deep connection to. So in response to the question that all artists get asked, that when do you know that a piece is done? Everybody asks you that. For me, it is the strength of the connection that I feel with the piece, that it should move me. If it's not moving me, then the connection is not strong, and I need to work on that. And maybe there are some pretty things here and there, but the voice is not there.
So, to kind of bounce off that, you say a lot of people ask you when you know a painting is done. How much planning do you do when you start a new piece? Do you go into it thinking, I want to address this specific theme or this specific location? I know with one of those, like you said, you had the picture of the lady in Greece, and that was a big inspiration for that painting. But is that something that you often find, like you have a specific plan for a painting, or do they just kind of happen, or both?
Yeah, this is great. That I'm glad you asked me that, because I really didn't do this painting starting because of her. I was almost getting to the end. I mean, I had done a lot of the work and a lot of layers, but the moment I did the scratch in the middle of the white, vertical shape, and that little black shape came out, I felt her there. And I thought, she's there. So then I added the yellow flower, did a little bit of a yellow color. I brought some of the red out to show her joy of life, which I'm so glad she had those yellow flowers in her hand for me to feel it. And and a lot of times in response to your question is that sometimes I even put one of my paintings in front of me and I say that, oh, I want to do something like this, or maybe the right part of it or the left part of it. And then because it is a lot of intuition and the gut feeling, actions, it it takes its own way, and I have to respond now to something. It changed direction on me, and I cannot be stubborn to get it back to where it was. I have to be open to the possibilities and just see that how can I respond to this new thing that just happened. Just exactly that scratching in the middle that I thought that, oh, this reminds me of her and I need to bring some warmth, some joy, some happiness to this because of that. So it's just like, it's like intuition. You do something and then you look and then you analyze and then you come with reason and then you do something that's very analytical. And so really it is both right brain, left brain, kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Rob wants to know what might be next for you. Do you think you'll continue refining your look or maybe try a different medium?
I think I just scratched the surface with the possibilities of oil and cold wax. I think is just sky is the limit, and I need to do more work. And I'm learning so much every day. Every painting is a new learning. So the fact that it's not repeating what I already have done. It's very very energizing, and it's very positive. So I think I need to work more, and because there's so much more to be explored.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff Smith chimed in on Facebook and asked, "What tools do you use?"
Oh, I use the brayers a lot for the ones that I showed you. Like these are like special brayers that the layers are very soft and that are specially made by a company. That if you want, we can talk about that. So there's coming in different sizes, and I use the different sizes of the squeegees to put the layers on. There are different methods of laying layers, from having a donor surface that you put the paint on and then you press it back on the surface, depending on how strong you want the paint to attach to, to have like a solid layer or not. So it's part of that's why I think that there is so much for me still to learn. I have tried a lot, but still there is so much to know. And each time you explore and find out. Even when I asked in the workshop, I asked Rebecca, the master, and she said that I don't know, Atossa. You just have to experiment it.
Figure it out.
I'm learning. That's the so yeah. So there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Let me look and see here. Does anybody else have any questions? I hope I'm pronouncing this name right. Hoda, Hoda. They want to know, do you have something in mind when you start painting, or do you just do the painting and look for a meaning in that piece?
I think it is more the second one. That sometimes I have, like I say, like the lightness and darkness piece, that I know that I'm gonna use limited palette, and I'm not going to introduce, it's like a decision I have made from the beginning to limit my palette. But in terms of the shape that is gonna be created, lines and textures, it takes its life, and I have to respond to it. So sometimes I make decisions based on color, that like I want to do like an earth and sky, like one of the mirages that I did, like it's a blue and yellowish, so different kind of a yellow orange in there and different blues and purples there, and a black and white. And I know that I don't want to add other colors, so those are very intentional. But in terms of and that one has a very simple composition. But some others that that I just move this paint in a different way, and then wow, something else is happening. Now I have to respond to that. Um, so it is a combination of both, but it's, as I said, is like the chance and control. Things happen by chance, and now you have to get control over it, and you have to respond to it. So it's going both ways. Bit on Huda's question would be a combination of both, really. And a lot of times that I have something specific in mind, it changes direction, and it won't go in the direction I intended to go, and I'm okay with that. I like this unpredictability, basically.
Yeah. We have a question. Again, I'm probably going to butcher the name, and I apologize. Reza would like to know if you would share a few words of advice to those who are new to abstract.
This is a great question. Let me tell you that when I wanted to go to my first abstract workshop, I was scared because I thought that I cannot breathe without my horizon line. What can I do? I mean, so I said, okay, for 1 month, you are not allowed to have a horizon line. You just have to work with shapes. So I would say, in a way, becoming like a child, like applying layers of paint and shapes, and maybe experimenting works on paper, because it is so liberating when you know that you are not wasting something very important. It is not an expensive canvas or a surface. It is a piece of paper, and you're just playing. You're just expressing yourself. You're just trying things. You're just experimenting. And if you don't like it, you just throw it away and or learn from it. I think some ugly works are good to keep, because then you say that, okay, this is already ugly. I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to go at it and I'm going to do something to it. So something better comes out of it, right? So, but I think it would be maybe one good thing would be to go into the mindset of experimentation, that I am going to just explore, play, experiment, study, rather than I have to create something very important that should make sense. So freeing yourself, liberating yourself from these expectations, and trying to just enjoy the process of and observe what is happening, and then see why you like that piece, why you don't like the other piece, and just and do more of the thing that you liked, that you think that, oh wow, I like this piece, and just do more of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Jeff Smith wants to know if you paint exclusively with cold wax.
Yes, it's oil paint and cold wax mixed. I use 50-50 because I use a rigid surface. I use wood panel, and so it's like basically plywood, and like veneers that are attached like a plywood. So it's very rigid surface, and I use 50-50. So because on canvas it can it can get cracked, so you have to lose. You still can do it, but you cannot manipulate the surface. But yes, I only do on all the way from the first layer up. I do 50-50, but sometimes you may be on some top layers, you think that, well, I want more pigment concentration and I'm going to use a little bit less cold wax. Or you would say that I just want a sheen over this, and I want this translucency, and I want to just use more cold wax and less of the oil paint. But it is oil paint and cold wax combined, mixed totally. with a palette knife completely, 50-50, or gold wax and powdered pigments added. I use powdered pigments also. So it's like in a pan, like, like this. It is like a powder that is pressed, and then you scrape it, and then it's like a powder, and then you mix it.
Gotcha. Tom wants to know if you've considered teaching.
Although I mean, it's lovely to teach, but I think that I just have to paint, and I like to paint and paint and paint and paint. And so I think that, like because of the COVID, that like there is nothing on the calendar. I think that, wow, I can get work done. I have no distraction, and I will stay here, listen to the music, or go to the garden and read a little thing, and just get back to work. And so, although it's wonderful to teach, but I think that I need to stick with painting, and I have so much to learn, and that I think that I need to put my time on that. Otherwise, it would be. I love to teach.
Not right now, but maybe someday.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any final questions from anybody? I'm all caught up on everybody. So many people on Facebook and on Zoom are saying thank you, Atossa, that your work is beautiful, and they've really enjoyed hearing you speak about your pieces.
Thank you.
Courtney has a quick question. She wants to know if you have to prime the wood before you paint.
Yes. You have to prime the wood. You have to seal it, and then you put, gesso on it. Yeah, the wood is very acidic, and you have to prime it. Yeah, and just as you would for any oil painting. And you can do like a layer of acrylic painting, layers on it, and then put oil and cold wax on top, but you cannot do the reverse.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we're good to go. Thank you so much, Atossa, for
Thank you. Thank you, Caitlin, for making it happen. I appreciate it, and all the practices that we did to make sure that screen sharing is working and all that. And thanks to all of you for joining me. I really appreciate you being with me.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Again, if you want to come visit and see Atossa's work in person, I highly recommend that you do so. It is open through September 20th, I believe. And we're open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 11, 1, and 3. You can make reservations online through our website. The link is also in the chat box. Atossa, thank you again for sharing your art with the museum and with everybody on this gallery talk. And with that, everyone have a wonderful evening. Stay well, stay safe, make beautiful art. And if you aren't an artist who does visual art, go see Atossa's work and just view some beautiful art.
Thank you,
everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Atossa.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.